The Odie Jacob Wetlands and Research Laboratory collects, cleans, and redistributes water, eliminating as much waste as possible through the process. The site chosen is located between Ullin and Hawley, Minnesota. The landscape features ancient prairies and 2 existing ponds in the wetland. These key aspects of the site allow visitors to understand the natural setting of water conservation. The vestibule protrudes forward and up from the southern-facing curtain wall, giving the visitors a sense of entry. A self-supported aluminum sunshade hovers over the entry doors, keeping the space cool during the day. The 2 perimeter corridors allow enough space for egress and a gallery space for the laboratory to display their work. The exposed structure allows for a connection between the building and the user, as well as a connection to the natural surroundings. The superstructure of the entry pavilion is glue laminated. When put side by side, the wood and glass visually balance one another. The green roofs above the entry and central corridor are risen to give the interior spaces additional natural light. Expansive structural curtain walls maximize the views for both the users in and outside of the pavilion. The wooden plank patio allows for additional views of the site at a higher elevation, as well as an additional flex space for different functions for the community. The spaces are organized in a 2-corridor arrangement, allowing for wider hallways, easy transitions between spaces, and flexibility for rearrangement. The walking path is a communal space for both the laboratory's staff and visitors, as well as the public. It is raised above the ground not only to enrich the experience, but to also help preserve the constructed and natural landscape. The path lies on both sides of the site, giving maximum views of the wetlands and grasslands to the visitors. 3 constructed wetlands are placed near the paths to be easily accessible for the staff and to be experienced by the public. The levels of the path align with the contours of the ground, allowing the visitors to connect with the site's native species. The small pockets were designed for the intent of resting and enjoying the views. Each constructed wetland has a viewing point. They are furnished with seating and sun shading, allowing the path to be functional as both a learning and meditative space. The first of the 3 constructed wetlands is designated to the removal of solid matter. The second constructed wetland is where phosphate is released and sulfate is reduced. The third constructed wetland is filled with cattails and willow trees. The phosphate is also removed in this pool. The water is then stored in a tank for the use of the building as well as the surrounding communities. The staff and guests are welcomed by the fireplace in the reception area. The lecture room, director's office, and mailroom are located near the entry for easy greetings and deliveries. Each office has 7-foot-tall sage windows for maximum views and natural light during the day. These spaces are furnished with seating, storage, and additional workspace. Skylights are in place over the hallway to bring additional natural light and to illuminate the glue-laminated beams. Expansive windows frames the view of the natural landscape. Entering from the west side of the structure, guests are greeted with the native plants at a much closer view. The conservatory is to bring the natural setting inside, giving the staff and visitors natural vegetation all year round. Down the center is a structural skylight. This is to give the plants additional natural light during the day. The planters are organized in a double corridor fashion. This is to help with the movement of the people within the space. The space is 25 feet tall, giving the plants the necessary room to grow. The conservatory is the central corridor where the office, laboratory, greenhouse, and walking path branch off from. The superstructure of the corridor is hollow steel columns and wide flange beams. The facade is structural glazing. The butterfly roof is to help with water harvesting and prevention of water buildup and leakage. The library and lounge is additional storage space for staff's research and other scientific literature. The greenhouse is placed just south of the laboratory and research space. The north facade of the laboratory is a structural curtain wall system. This maximizes both the views and the indirect natural light to the space. The flooring is a monolithic resilient floor. This is to help prevent glass from breaking in the lab and greenhouse. With long spans of steel structure, the floor plans are able to become completely open.